Hello, everyone. On behalf of the Texas Hospital Association, we're happy to welcome Eric Epley, CEO at Southwest Texas Regional Advisory Council, also known as STRAC, and Corey Ricketson from Pulsara to talk about the Pulsara app technology and its assistance with patient transfers. So Eric, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Shirley. So welcome everybody. Appreciate the opportunity to do this webinar. As the representative from STRAC, I wanted to explain the Texas Emergency Medical Task Force program, which you guys are probably familiar with respect to field hospitals, ambuses, and the ambulances. STRAC plays a key role as the state coordinating office, sort of the overseer to the entire program. So it's in that respect, as program director for the EMTF program, I'm talking to you today. When El Paso really exploded in volume from COVID, we deployed field hospitals and ambulances and ambuses there, but we found that there was also a need to load balance critical patients out of El Paso to other locations in Texas. And we did that really effectively with something we sort of started up rapidly called the State Coordination Center, the SCC. All of you are probably familiar with your local regional medical operations center. And so your local processes to transfer people when you're in crisis is through your normal pathways. Then, of course, you move to the regional medical operations center in your area. That regional medical operations center then talks to the state coordination center and talks to lots of other regional medical operations centers across the state. And so that's how we were organizing these transfers from El Paso. And then, frankly, we did the repatriation back to those locations as well. DSHS, TDEM, THA, and TORCH all believe that this method for El Paso was very effective, and we're deploying that statewide. In our lessons learned from El Paso, it was very frustrating to have 10, 15, upwards of 20, 25 phone calls, and keeping everybody up to speed along the way. We were using WebEOC and still continue to use WebEOC as a valuable information tool, but we found Pulsara and we have been using them since El Paso, and it's worked out well. We're going to want to deploy that for use, at least with the regional medical operations centers and the state coordination center where possible. And I'm going to turn it over now to Corey Ricketson, who's going to walk through the Pulsara app. I appreciate everything you guys are doing. Please help everything you can with Texas, and thanks so much. Corey.
Thanks, Eric, and thanks for providing the medium for us to educate all of you. First of all, I do want to just extend a heartfelt thank you to everyone within the state, all the clinicians, for the continued hard work. I know this is a huge task and has been very, very frustrating and taxing over the past year. And so I'm hoping that we've got the light at the end of the tunnel, but we're not out of the woods yet. As Eric mentioned, Pulsara is an app that is meant to help reduce phone calls. It is a communications app. We know that when hospitals are overloaded, and this was just a study actually that was published a couple of days ago here, that shows that when ICUs and when hospitals are taxed and overloaded, there is a twofold increase in mortality. We want to help that decompression process. We've heard the phone calls from clinicians across the state desperate to move patients because they just simply don't have enough resources. And so we want to be able to provide assistance in that respect. This app can help in a couple of ways. When we talked about utilizing Pulsara throughout the state, we said we really need a couple of prongs to this approach. One of those is to help mitigate local surge in any way that we can by starting when the patients make entry into the health system in the first place. And the second is to provide those regional and state assistance. So Pulsara is an app that is smartphone friendly. You can use it on iOS. You could use it on Android devices. It's very quick and easy to deploy. It is a HIPAA compliant platform. And it does leverage other things that you would normally find in apps that you use each day, such as the Facebook Messengers and the Twitters and Instagrams, where it has team messaging for group chat, live video. You can record audio clips and take pictures and upload those. And so with one touch, if you were having a phone call through the app, you can upgrade that to video if needed. And kind of the nice thing about the app is being able to build teams on the fly. So as Eric mentioned in El Paso, if the hospital that's needing to send a patient starts the channel in the app, and then the regional mock is added in, they can try to look for resources and destinations. If they can't find those, they add the statewide coordination office, and on it goes to build those care teams and unite people together for collaboration and shared awareness. When we start with local surge management, and I know this the audience with THA isn't the big need for this, but I did want to educate you on the multi-prong approach. Within local areas, and we've done this in San Antonio, we've done this in Austin, we've done this in Laredo, we start with how does the patient make entry and how can we prevent some of the surge from even getting to the hospitals. And so if 911 center was involved or an ambulance found that the patient maybe was lower acuity and could enter the health system, we can try to create resources by providing a hub where doctors, advanced practice providers, people like that can come in and collaborate on the patient remotely and potentially try to solve the issue for them without them actually entering into a hospital, if at all possible. If they are needing to go to a facility, maybe that is a brick and mortar facility, or maybe it's a virtual care center, we can add those resources into the channel. So again, we're all in the same channel. There's a term that Eric and I use, and the RMOCs are something that we use within the state. But for those of you who don't know what a medical operations coordination cell is, this is a term that's been widely used throughout the nation, but it is a medical operations coordination cell that's meant to move patients, staff, and supplies to the right provider at the right time in the right way to improve the overall well-being of that patient. And so, as Eric mentioned, we have 8 EMTF regions. Those do correlate with the HPP regions. These are the people that are responsible each day with helping provide you with PPE and other resources. But they also have another responsibility, and they've been working overtime along with you to try to find patient placement for these patients that are overloading your facilities. Each of these RMOCs acts as a way to help coordinate patients. And what they're going to do is operate on your behalf to try to give you some relief and a lifeline in case you're overloaded. So let's talk about the patient movement and how Pulsara app can help you. First of all, as Eric mentioned, being able to look at your own referral processes. We don't want to step in the middle of that. So if you have relationships that are established that you normally go to in a time of need, that's what you're going to do first. But we also know that a lot of you as clinicians spend an awful lot amount of time on the phone trying to find a destination for these patients. We also know that takes you away from patient care, and in a time of crisis and when your hospitals are already overloaded, that is can be extremely time taxing and can overload your system. So if you've exhausted these normal referral processes, we would ask that if you at all possible can start the Pulsara channel and provide us some details. And then level 2 would be to consult your RMOC in. We create those relationships in the background, so it's very simple for you to do. That RMOC would then get an alert saying there is a new patient that needs movement and that you've exhausted some of your normal referral patterns that you would normally utilize. And so at that point, they can start to work their local channels. We have ways to assist them with that. We call them regional patient placement groups, but this is a way for them to alert all of the transfer centers or hospitals within their region that there is a patient that needs to get moved. And these RMOCs are typically having conversations each day, at least, with their local transfer centers and hospitals just to know, where are you today? What's your current census? What types of patients can you take so that we know? If that fails and we're not able to find regional patient placement, this now goes to the state coordination center, and we can deploy what's known as the statewide virtual placement center. And this is where hospitals that have capacity now that may have decompressed and are not experiencing surge, they can be able to have visibility, as well as transfer centers from across the state can have visibility into patients that have made it to that level 3. They've exhausted local resources, they've exhausted regional transfer patterns, and now they are living at the Texas level, and we're going to provide visibility so that we can have a Texans helping Texans philosophy, and we can try to get these patients moved. At that point, they could continue down the line and add more people into the channel who are going to be taking these patients. So this is kind of what the app looks like. It's super, super simple. Again, it's mobile first technology. You can see in this particular patient channel that's been started, the patient's age, name, date of birth, et cetera, has been added in. You'll also see that you can add contacts. This has been extremely helpful when we're moving patients across the state into large geographic areas where we can put the patient's family members' contact information in here, and you can actually make contact with those folks through the app, and they never know the originating phone number. Secondarily, an audio clip is extremely helpful. Instead of typing all of the information in, if you have a doc or a nurse that wants to give a verbal report and just record an audio clip, this can really add a lot of clarity into the patient's condition. And again, it's not taking all the time to type those things. The images tab is pretty valuable because this may be H&P, lab values, it may be a patient's face sheet, but you can simply take a picture instead of running to a fax machine and trying to do the paper shuffle and the phone shuffle. Next thing you'll see here is the chief complaint area where we did add a few details, and we actually put this into the app. When you go to consult your regional MOC, your RMOC, we have, here's what you should include in a consult request: COVID status, where the patient's currently located, what type of drips they're on, what's their airway status, et cetera. And any major comorbidities is really helpful when we're trying to find placement for those patients. And then the chat bubble down at the bottom right, this is just like any other app that you use daily. It's going to feel very much like what you communicate with in daily life. And this is going to allow you to communicate with those folks downstream. And that way it's asynchronous. It's not tying you up on a phone. It is asynchronous technology, meaning like group chat. So when a new status, maybe somebody has found a potential landing zone or a landing place for your patient, a destination hospital that's willing to accept, and now they need to get the doc-to-doc brokered. All of those things and statuses can be, those conversations can happen through the app. So we've got 3 easy steps here, and we're almost done. Step number 1 is to sign up. We have tried to make this super simple for any hospital in Texas to sign up that would like to take part in this. We have a sign-up form that is available by going to a website, and we'll put this at the end of the presentation. But when you go to that landing page, you're going to see a very simple sign-up form. It takes 2 minutes to complete this form, and at that point, it starts the process. Step number 2, you're going to download the app, you're going to log in, and you're going to get trained. We have online resources that are sent to you as soon as you create your first admin login. With that admin login, you have the ability to add more people from your organization into the Pulsara app. And that way, anybody at any time can start the patient channel and ask for assistance. And then step 3, make a request and communicate. This is very easy. Just start the channel. You're going to put in the information that's requested, and then you're going to request a consult with your local RMOC. And what this does is it standardizes the approach so that you're not having to make 20 to 30 phone calls to try to find placement for your patient should your normal referral patterns fail. So this is a very simple process to do. I will tell you, just last week, a pretty good success story, and then we'll be done. But we did have a hospital that signed up. They were up and running on the app the exact same day. They happened to have a very critical patient in their freestanding emergency department. They made the request. I believe it was actually done within the CAT-RAC region. That patient had a destination selected within 30 minutes, and they were able to move that patient. So the process does work. It's not the magic bullet. It's not the end-all be-all, but it does provide a really nice standardized approach, which is an efficient process. So again, to wrap this up, in order to ask more questions, you see the URL here, the texas@pulsara.com. And then in order to sign up, the www.pulsara.com/TX-EMTF. So again, thank you very much for participating, and I hope this was beneficial, and keep up the good work.